Welcome, dear students. Today we'll be discussing the topic incineration in solid waste management or solid waste disposal. So, incineration is a waste treatment process that involves the combustion of the organic substances contained in the waste materials. Incineration and other high temperature waste treatment systems are described as thermal treatment. Definition as it goes: the process of burning waste in large furnaces at high temperature is known as incineration, and it is mainly used to dispose of the solid, liquid, and the gaseous waste. Incineration also generally do not require as much area as the landfilling method, and at the end of the process all that is left behind is ash. Incinerators normally reduce the solid mass of the original waste by 80 to 85%, and it has particularly strong benefits for the treatment of certain waste types in niche areas such as clinical waste and certain hazardous waste where the pathogens and toxins can be destroyed by high temperatures. For example, it includes chemical multi-product plants with diverse toxic or very toxic wastewater streams which cannot be routed to a conventional wastewater treatment plant. Municipal solid waste is burnt in a properly designed furnace under suitable temperature and operating conditions, and this process we call it as incineration, and it is one of the most effective method for reducing the volume and the weight of a municipal solid waste. In this process, actually controlled burning of the waste is what happens, and it occurs at a temperature, very high temperature, say about 1200 to 1500 degrees Celsius. It also sterilizes and stabilizes the waste with a reduction in the volume, and it is a process in which carbon, hydrogen, and other elements in the waste mix with oxygen in the combustion zone and generates heat, and this reaction we call it as oxidation. Now coming to the incineration objectives. So what are the objectives of incineration? So it can be broadly classified under four heads, namely volume reduction, stabilization of the waste, recovery of energy from waste, and sterilization of the waste. So we'll see each of it in detail. So volume reduction. Depending on its composition, incineration reduces the volume of the solid waste to be disposed of by an average of 90%. The weight of the solid waste to be dealt with is reduced by 70 to 75%, and this has both environmental and economical advantages since there is less demand for final disposal to the landfill. So this is about volume reduction, and coming to stabilization of the waste. So the incinerator output, we know that the input into an incinerator is the solid waste and the output is the ash. So the incinerator output, that is the ash, is considerably more inert than the incinerator input, that is a solid waste, and this is mainly because the oxidation of the organic compounds of the waste stream, and this leads to a reduction of the landfill management problems and the organic compounds present in the landfill leachate. Now coming to recovery of energy from waste. So this represents a valorization method rather than just a pre-treatment of the waste prior to disposal. The energy recovered from burning the waste is used to generate steam for use in on-site electricity generation or export to local factories or district heating schemes. The combined heat and power plants increases the efficiency of the energy recovery by producing electricity as well as utilizing the residual heat. Coming to sterilization of the waste, so this is of primary importance in the incineration of mainly the clinical or the biomedical waste. Incineration of solid waste will also ensure destruction of pathogens prior to final disposal in a landfill. Now coming to the various factors that affect incineration. So they are namely the waste moisture content, the heating value, the inorganic salts, and high sulfur or halogen content. So these are the various factors that affect incineration. So waste moisture content, that is, the greater the moisture content, more fuel will be required to destroy the waste. So that is understood. So more the moisture content, we require more fuel to incinerate or destroy the waste. And again, heating value, with no significant heating value, incineration would not be practical disposal method. So there should be a significant heating value, only then it will be possible to have an effective incineration method. Then the inorganic salts. So some of the waste which are rich in inorganic alkaline salts are actually troublesome to dispose of in a conventional incineration system. A significant fraction of the salt will get collected on the furnace surface, which might eventually create a slag or cake and severely reduce the ability of an incinerator to function properly. So inorganic salts are also an important factor to be considered in this case. Then the high sulfur or halogen content. So if there is a presence of excess chlorides or sulfides in the waste, that will normally result in the acid forming compounds in the off gas. So this is also a factor to be considered. Now coming to the various parts of an incinerator, a typical incinerator consists basically of three components: the furnace chamber, the heat recovery boiler, and the flue gas treatment plant. So we'll see what are they. So as I told you, the typical incinerator consists of these three components, that is the incinerator furnace chamber, the heat recovery boiler, and the flue gas treatment plant. We'll see each of it. The incinerator furnace chamber. In a municipal solid waste incinerator, the waste material is usually burned in a refractory lined furnace chamber as a moving bed on a grate with under fire air. So the waste material is actually not homogeneous, and various techniques are used to mix the burning material on the grate as it progresses along the chamber. So this is an incinerator furnace chamber into which the not homogeneous, or we can say that the waste is heterogeneous, and this will be passed on through the incinerator furnace chamber. For example, a reciprocating grate or steps allowing the materials to fall and dispose may be used, and other mixing techniques used include the rotary kilns and the fluidized beds. Next, coming to the heat recovery boiler. So this consists of two stages. That is, in the first stage, the gases are cooled by radiation of heat to the walls, while in the second stage, the gases are further cooled by convective heat transfer to the tubes located in the flow. Coming to the flue gas treatment plant. So to minimize the emission of the pollutants, the first stage of the flue gas treatment is achieved in the furnace and boiler by ensuring that there is sufficient excess air and residence time to complete the combustion process. Now, the various operations that are involved in incineration can be divided into 6 phases as shown below. They are arrival of the refusals, first of all, and then combustion, then production of the overheated vapor, production of electrical energy, then extraction of the ashes, and treatment of the smokes. Here you can see a typical waste incineration facility scheme. It's a schematic figure of a typical waste incineration facility. So the incineration facilities actually incorporate a number of general methods for ensuring the proper combustion and reducing the emissions. A steady situation with no major fluctuations in the waste feed supply rate, the combustion air flows or other incineration conditions promotes efficient combustion. Inefficient combustion can result in higher levels of products of incomplete combustion. Similarly, the more often a facility is started up and shut down for maintenance or because of inadequate or varying waste stream volume, the more uneven the combustion and the greater the potential for increased emissions. So, optimal design and operation of a furnace requires attention to incineration temperature, the turbulence of the gas mixture being combusted, and the gas precedence. Now, coming to the advantages of incineration. So, incineration as listed here, you can see that it is the most hygienic method, and there is complete destruction of pathogens, no odor trouble. There is heat generated which may be used for raising the steam power, and the clinkers that are produced after incineration may be used for road construction. There is less space required compared to a landfill. Then there are other adverse weather condition has no effect in the case of incineration. Lots of advantages, like the ash residue is actually non-putrescible or sterile. The ash that is obtained from the incineration process are normally non-putrescible or they are sterile. And also technology exists to completely destroy even the most hazardous material in a complete effective manner. That is one major advantage of a incineration process. Then it requires a relatively small area compared to that of a landfill, and by using heat recovery techniques, the cost of the operation can often be reduced or offset through the use of sale of energy. So these are all the advantages of incineration process. Now the disadvantages. So initial cost is very high in this case. Then we have to give special care and attention. Otherwise, what happens is the complete combustion will increase in air pollution. Then the residues are required to be disposed, which needs money, and again large number of vehicles are required for solid waste transport to the site of incineration. So to sum up, the disadvantages are like the capital cost will be very high. We also require skilled operators, and as already discussed, all materials are not incinerable, so this is again a disadvantage. Then supplemental fuel is required to initiate and at times to maintain the incineration process. And the most publicized concerns from the environmentalists about the incineration of municipal solid waste involves the fear that it produces significant amount of dioxin and furan emissions. So these are all carcinogenic, and hence this is a very important factor, or we can say it is a very important disadvantage when it comes to incineration. Also health effects such as developmental of abnormalities in the enamel of children's tooth, the central and peripheral nervous systems, some thyroid disorders, damage to the immune system, etc. can also be it's also a matter of concern when it comes to incineration or the flue or the gases emitted from incineration. So these are all the disadvantages, and that's all. That's about the introductory part of incineration. So in the next portion we'll be covering the different types of incinerators.